traveler, and welcome to the monastery. We're very happy that you came. We don't get many visitors around here, and to be honest, the traveling parties have been a bit thin lately. It's so good of you to come. And trust me, don't turn your ears toward the rumors that have been going around about the monastery and the land. Anyone who believes in the one true God, anyone who opens their faith to the people of this monastery and our ways, will see no harm come to them. That is, of course, unless you make an enemy of the church. Let me tell you something about the Black Rose. It's a story that's been passed down through the ages. Something that we monks have taken very seriously. The Black Rose is the story of our monastery. It's the story of us. And unfortunately, it's the story that all of these rumors have been based off of. Now, I'm sure that you've heard reports of people disappearing here at the monastery under my watch, but I can assure you that as the rector of this monastery, nothing goes unseen under my eye. Come, join me, and I'll tell you a little more about the Black Rose, the story of our monastery, and if you're lucky, you'll make it out alive. Welcome to the Black Rose. The Black Rose is a 3 to 5 player game of deduction where one player plays as the rector of a monastery. The other players play as investigators. The synopsis of the game is as such. The investigators arrive at a monastery to investigate accusations that the rector is responsible for a series of deaths taking place. In order for the rector to be brought to justice, the investigators must identify the rector's accomplices. Unbeknownst to the investigators, however, the spirit of the most recently departed has possessed one of them. In the game, you essentially have 3 powers trying to win. You've got the rector, you've got the investigators, and the possessed investigator. The game will end one of 3 ways. Either A, the investigators will figure out who the rector's accomplices are, and they will win. The rector will play a goal card, and he will win if no one else does. Or the possessed investigator will win if they can, during the game, kill both of the rector's accomplices. Here you can see a full setup for the game. There are 7 total suspects of who could be my accomplices. The investigators will take turns placing their player tokens next to a suspect on their turns, and they will investigate that suspect, which is essentially drawing a card from their deck. There are cards in these decks that say this person is innocent, this person is innocent, this person is innocent, and so on and so forth. 5 of these 7 people are innocent. 2 of them have been helping me do my dirty work. It's up to the investigators to suss out who these 2 people are. Now, the Black Rose is played over a series of turns. Now, during each turn, you're going to have different phases. You have the day, sunset, twilight, night, and sunrise phases. Here's exactly what happens during each phase. During the day phase, starting with the first player, the investigators are going to take their turns. They can play 1 or more action cards from their hands, and the action cards are in here. Action cards will allow you to do different things, such as switch cards around, force me to show you my cards as the rector, because as the rector I get a handy hand of special cards that are usually pretty bad for you. They can do a lot of other things as well, interact with other players. So during the daytime phase, you can play any actions from your hand. Then it goes to sunset. During sunset, the investigators discuss possible accomplices, and if a consensus is reached, the rector confirms or denies an accusation. So during the sunset phase, all of your investigators are going to talk with each other and say, well, I think this person's an accomplice, I think that person's an accomplice, I have this card that shows this person's innocent, what have you. Now, you guys could be telling the truth, or you could completely be lying to each other. Remember, one of you is possessed, so one of you is going to be feeding lies. You can make an accusation on who you think my accomplices are. You must choose every accomplice. Both of your selections have to be correct. If they're correct, I will tell you so, and you will win the game as an investigator. If you are wrong, we continue to the next phase. Even if you get one guess right and one guess wrong, it's still a wrong guess, and we're going to continue to the next phase. In the next phase, as Twilight, the Rector activates and may play or discard one Rector card from his hand. And then he can discard an additional Rector card from the hand just in case he's not being, he won't be able to use it, or if it's, you know, a dead card. After that, we go to the night phase, and this is my favorite phase. The Rector asks all investigators to close their eyes, and the possessed investigator may reveal himself to the Rector. Then, the possessed investigator chooses one of our suspects to murder. He points to a suspect. The Rector will notify this choice, and the suspect is immediately killed, and you flip their card over. Then, the Rector himself may kill a suspect and flip their card over. You don't have to kill, but you may during this phase. Then we go to the sunrise phase. The Rector then asks all of the investigators to open their eyes, a new day begins, and the first player token rotates clockwise, and the new first player takes their turn. So that's a little bit of a breakdown of how the Black Rose works. You're going to have these cards, for instance. Here's an action card that you could receive whenever you investigate a suspect. You will draw a card from their deck into your hand. This card says, talk to Delay. Take the top card from Delay's clue stack. If deceased, take the top card of the graveyard stack. Now, when a suspect dies, all of their clue cards get moved to the center, and that is the graveyard stack. Players can choose to investigate the graveyard instead of one of these suspects. In case an innocent card was in their deck, this gives them the chance to locate that card, and it will prove their innocence. So the more people die, the harder it is to get through all of these cards, because the players have to dig and dig and dig. But as long as some people are still alive, you are good. Now let's take a look at the Rector cards just to show you how they work. Now the Rector cards are going to have some symbols up here, and then they're going to have a title and some things down here. So let me just show you. The card I'm holding is called Sermon. Until the next sunset, investigators may not play cards named Talk to, Disclosure, or Networking. So cards like this allow the Rector to stop the investigators from, well, investigating. They can't go and search through any of these decks or play, or rather, they can't play cards that allow them to search through the decks or to draw cards from them, effectively slowing down the investigation. So earlier I told you that if the investigators choose all of my accomplices, they win the game if I confirm it. And what will happen is during sunrise, if the possessed investigator has killed all of my accomplices, the possessed investigator wins. But let's not forget about our friendly old Rector. The Rector has cards in his deck that are called goal cards. Now these goal cards can be identified because they are in, the text down here is in blue. This one's called Blade Knight. Let me read it to you. Play only on the 4th round or later. By sunrise, if no one else has won, you win. So on my phase, which is Twilight, I would play this card face up in front of me. I would then say, if you, meaning everyone else at the table, if you don't win by the next sunrise, I will. So there are 3 ways this game can go. Either the Rector will win, the investigators will win, or the possessed investigator will win. It takes a lot of cunning, a lot of deduction, and a lot of sweet talking to work together and try and figure out who's been helping me wash the dirt, literally, from my hands. Well, there's our story. What do you think? Seriously, the Black Rose is awesome, okay? I was really struck by this game. So, for those of you who don't know, there is a tabletop RPG called Shadows of Esterin, Shadows of Esterin, Shadows of Easterin, however you locally want to pronounce it. It is a tabletop RPG that's like a gothic horror kind of RPG. So it basically plays off of Celtic horror, and it's really awesome. The Black Rose is a board game, or just a tabletop game, set in that world. So the characters and stuff from the Black Rose are actually characters in the Shadows of Esterin world. And I love it. This game got my vote for best theme of last year. I was really excited with it. I got it to the table. It really reminded me of like kind of the craziness of Clue, but it's got that betrayal mechanic where you have to talk to your fellow players and convince them, no, look, this guy is innocent. I promise you, he killed that guy last turn. So you know he's possessed. I know it. You've got to work all that together, and the Black Rose is really great at creating an atmosphere that it's just, the ambiance is fantastic. I always love getting my friends to come over and play it. It's, first of all, the components too are amazing. I really love the way this box is. It opens up kind of like a big book. The artwork is fantastic. It's exactly what you'd expect from the Shadows of Esterin world. The cards are really cool. They're like tarot-sized cards. They're made really well. You've got the little board in there. The only issue I experienced, at least with my copy, was the player tokens that you use to put on a card when you go to investigate a person. They were punched out horribly. They got ripped all over the back of them, and it just really bothered me. But that doesn't mean we can't have fun with the game. In fact, we barely use those. And honestly, I was thinking about how cool it would be to get miniatures for those instead. So that's something completely different. But with the recent Kickstarter that Shadows of Esterin went through for occultism, congratulations guys, by the way, I'm really excited for you. This is perfect. It's got plenty of little lore with it, and it's a small enough game that you can get it to the table and play it a few times a night, but it's a big enough game that you can do all kinds of things with it. In fact, inside this box, there are character cards for each of the investigators. It tells a little bit about the investigator, what kind of personality they have, what they're doing in the area, and it allows you to take your game to the next level. You can play your investigator to their personality, and that just rolls perfectly right into the tabletop RPG. So, the Black Rose, it's awesome. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've enjoyed what we've been doing with our review so far. This is the first review that we've had to shoot at night, so huzzah on that one. And I'm looking forward to doing more of these, and again, I hope you guys like it. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below, and make sure you check out the Shadows of Esterin game, the Shadows of Esterin Kickstarter, because that is the way that you're going to get your hands on the Black Rose. Well guys, thank you for checking out the video, and as always, until next time, that's right, happy gaming. The Black Rose board game.